Hello everyone! Today I'm going to inform you about hydraulic fracturing, also known as fracking. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this term before and you may have some idea of what it is, but I'd like to dive deeper into this subject. I'm going to focus on what fracking is, its effects on our environment, and alternate options that can be used in lieu of fracking. So first of all, what is fracking? According to the NRDC, fracking is defined as the process of injecting liquid at a high pressure into subterranean rocks, boreholes, or etc. to force open existing fissures and extract oil or gas. The gas that is obtained from fracking is also called shale gas. It is mostly methane, but is derived from shale rock, hence its name. The gas is used for energy and heating. Almost every electronic amenity in your house is somehow connected to or powered by shale gas. This gas is so important to us because it is used to generate a quarter of the nation's electricity. The oil that is obtained from fracking is similar to that of petroleum. Those of you who have taken high school chemistry may be familiar with the abundant uses for oils like these. They can be refined into many different substances, including diesel fuel, gasoline, and liquid petroleum gas. Some other forms of refined shale include commercial products such as ammonia and sulfur. As you can see, we rely heavily on hydraulic fracturing to fulfill our everyday needs, from the heat in our houses to our electronics to the gasoline that fills our cars. Now that we have covered why we need fracking, let's divulge into the effects of it on our environment. Although fracking brings us a fortune of precious gases and oils that we encounter and rely on in our everyday lives, the effects of fracking has on the environment are not so congenial. According to the Wilderness Society, an organization devout to keeping our environment safe, fracking can have really dire consequences more often than people think. It can poison groundwater, pollute surface water, and endanger wildlife. When fracking sites are not built sturdily enough, it can cause a phenomenon called flowback. Flowback water can contaminate streams and water supplies. The backwash from fracking can include toxic, cancer-causing chemicals such as benzene and toluene. Without rigorous safety precautions and environmental checks, fracking could lead to poisoned water and marred landscapes. As we take a look at my visual, hydraulic fracturing is a fluid, a mix of water, sand, and chemicals that is pumped into a well. The potential risks include groundwater contamination and air quality degradation. 70 to 140 billion gallons of water are used to fracture 35,000 wells in the U.S. each year. Each approximately the annual water consumption of 40 to 80 sites with population by 50,000. As you can see, 0.5, which is half, to 2% of chemicals make up the total volume of fracturing fluid, equaling up to 330 tons. Trucks full of water bring 200 gallons of water, sand, and chemicals to the fracking process. Now, understanding the damaging effects of fracking on our environment led me to ask myself, what other options are available to replace hydraulic fracturing, but still procure the elements that we need from Earth, like the petroleum gas, the shale gas, and the petroleum and shale oil. After I did some research, I found some alternates that included safety, low carbon, and inexpensive alternatives to fracking. Each of these alternatives still give the production that fracking does. One alternative that I found two alternatives that I found are ground source and air source heat pumps. These are mechanisms that basically cool the outside surrounding area instead of cooling the inside of an area so much. For example, the heating in your house, the heating pump would take in the hot air surrounding and inside of your house instead of cooling down your house. So essentially, the hot air is being eliminated by this device. This also works the same way with refrigerators. It would cool the surrounding area instead of just cooling the inside of the refrigerator. Another alternative I found was biomethane derived from waste. This option releases less carbon emissions because it creates biomethane from farm and food waste. This gas could be used for both electricity and generation. Hydraulic fracturing has both pros and cons. We rely on this method of obtaining gas and oil because it is effective, and we need abundant amounts of the elements. However, the downside is that fracking is damaging effects on our environment and health. To wrap this talk about fracking, I urge audience members to think about alternate options for obtaining crude oil and shale gas. Thank you for your time.